Hello, and welcome to Rowlett Real Estate School's Test-Taking Tips and Strategies Guide. My name is Paul Jensen, and I will be reading you this presentation. We want you to pass and do well. In our experience from test-taking and that of our students, Rowlett Real Estate School has put together this presentation to help with some of the common issues that people have taking tests. After the addition of this presentation to the last day of our classroom just before our test, we've had more students pass with more confidence and save them from making some of the ill-advised decisions their predecessors have made with us, and more importantly at the state test. Allowing yourself some extra time to study by using your CD-ROM or taking the practice exams in your student resources is very beneficial. Your retention of the material can drop dramatically when you stop studying. It is very important to take the state exam within a couple of weeks following your course. State license exam process. Students must be approved by the Department of Business and Professional Regulation prior to scheduling their exam. If you have not submitted your completed application packet and fingerprints to the state, please do so immediately. Go to myflorida.com for the online application package. State license exam process. Once your application has been approved by the DBPR, a notification is electronically submitted to the test vendor PearsonView. PearsonView then mails an authorization letter to each eligible candidate. Scheduling your test date. Upon receipt of the authorization letter, you can then reserve an exam date and location through PearsonView by calling 888-204-6289. Payment is made at the time of reservation. Payments are not accepted at the testing centers, and examination fees are posted on PearsonView's website. What to bring on exam day. Arrive at the test center at least 30 minutes prior to your exam time. You will need two forms of identification. One must have a signature on it, like a credit or debit card. You must have your course completion certificate, not the wall certificate. A copy or fax is accepted. Registration confirmation number and/or official authorization letter. This is your course completion certificate. What to bring on exam day. Do not bring children or pets to the test center. Bring a simple, non-programmable calculator. The calculator cannot have an alphabet keyboard. Your exam will be taken on a computer. You will answer each question by clicking A, B, C, or D. You can go forward and backward through the test, mark questions for review, and change answers. A summary screen can be accessed at any time to see the number of questions answered, unanswered, and skipped. The time remaining will also be displayed, which, for those of you that are very nervous about the time, can be toggled on and off. Before the test begins, you will be given a 15-minute tutorial to familiarize yourself with the equipment, how to indicate your answer choice, and how to navigate through the exam. The tutorial will also explain how to turn the exam clock on and off and how to access the summary screen. The computer will automatically keep track of any questions you skip. For this reason, it is recommended that you plan on going through the entire exam at least twice. On your first time around, answer the easy questions first. Questions that you are confident in knowing the correct answer to. The easy questions. Now listen, the easy questions are the easiest to miss. Take caution and fully read the question and read each answer, then reread the entire question and each answer. Don't jump on the first answer that sounds good. This strategy alone should increase your overall score by 5%. Below are 3 types of test questions you should skip by using Next Screen until your second time through. Unfamiliar questions for which the answer is not obvious, lengthy questions that fill up much of the computer screen, and math questions. It is more efficient to do all the math questions at one time when you have your calculator and paper ready. Your strategy should be to use your time efficiently and get every point possible. After the first pass through the exam, take a second. Be sure to check the summary page and answer any unanswered questions. Your exam is made up of 3 broad categories: of law, principles and practices, and math. The questions are in no particular order, however the math tends to be at the end of the exam. The examination consists of 100 multiple choice questions. Passing score is a 75 or higher. Tests are graded at the test site. Students who pass are given a notification at the test site. Preparing for success. 1. Develop a positive attitude. Put yourself in a positive frame of mind. Reject negative thoughts like, I don't think I'll pass. This can have a negative impact on your overall score. Control your anxiety. Use relaxation techniques such as breathing or any other techniques that you might know of, but not drugs. We have had students before tell us they took a nerve pill on their way to the test. After getting there, they felt that it had not yet kicked in, so they decided to take a second. This made them fall asleep through their test and they failed. Too much test anxiety can seriously interfere with your ability to succeed on the exam. On the other hand, a little can increase your mental processes. 3. Budget your time. Keep track of passing time. Don't linger too long on difficult questions. If you find yourself almost at the end of your time, don't panic. Do not leave any questions unanswered. The chances of getting that unanswered question correct is 0. Your personal strategy. Different exam-taking strategies work for different people. Follow techniques that seem best for you. Using your common sense is the best guide. Some of the exam questions are simply facts of everyday life and experience. For example, an acre consists of 208 cubic feet, 360 degrees, 5,280 feet, or 43,560 square feet. You already knew that an acre is a surface measure of an area. You didn't even have to know the numbers. Be aware of common traps. Each side of a square acre is approximately 208 feet. A circle has 360 degrees, and a mile is 5,280 feet in length. When answering a multiple-choice question, your common sense, sound reasoning, personal experience, and known information all come into play. Only multiple-choice formats are used on the exam. You need to understand that the first part of a question is called the stem, or the lead-in. It may come in the form of a question, which statement best defines a title search, an incomplete sentence, a title search is defined as, or a direction, select the definition that best describes a title search. The stem provides the information needed to determine the correct answer. The 4 possible answers are called choices, alternatives, options, or responses. One of the 4 choices will be the correct or best answer. The other 3 will be incorrect answers called distractors or throwaways. Occasionally, distracting or irrelevant information may also appear in the stem of a question to test your knowledge of the key point or formula being examined. Distractors in the lead-in may appear to be tricky or unfair, but if you know the course material and read carefully, you will not be misled. For example, a property sold for $95,000. The new owner applied for and was granted a $25,000 homestead tax exemption. The property was assessed for $85,000, which is 90% of its selling price. If the tax rate is 28.8 mils, how much will the property taxes be? The price of the property is a distraction, as is the phrase 90% of its selling price. To solve this tax problem, subtract the allowable tax exemption from the assessed value and multiply by the tax rate. Read the math question and make a mental estimate or ballpark of the answer. This may help you from making common mistakes such as reversing dividend and divisor, failing to carry the math calculation to the final step, failing to convert inches to feet or feet to yards, or misplacing the decimal point, and so forth. Restate the stem. If you have difficulty understanding the meaning of a question, mentally restate the stem from its present form into another form. If the stem is in the form of an incomplete statement, recast it into a question that helps you. For example, if the stem reads, "A deed is defined as," then put the stem in question form. How is a deed defined? Or, how do you define the term deed? If the stem is in the form of a question, rephrase it in the form of a complete or an incomplete statement. For example, If the lead-in is, which condition may result from a change in zoning, reword it mentally to, a change in zoning may result in. By rephrasing a sentence that has a confusing or complex word order, you can analyze the stem more easily and determine the correct answer more readily. Caution: when changing the form of a stem, be certain not to change the meaning. If you get a question you have never seen or heard of, or one that may as well be in a foreign language, it may be a genuinely difficult question. It may represent a blind spot in your learning. It may be a point never covered in class. In a 63-hour course, thousands of facts and hundreds of concepts are covered in a short time. Therefore, realistically speaking, not everything can be taught or learned in that time period. Keep in mind that a foreign question represents only 1 out of 100 points. Choose the correct answer by using the process of elimination, common sense plus sound reasoning and your own knowledge. Don't panic and bog down. Minimize the effect this one question has on your overall positive approach to the exam. The best answer. On the state license exam, the 3 basic approaches to structuring the stem are: find the correct answer, find the incorrect answer, and find the best answer. When you are asked to select the best or most accurate answer or description of the situation, as opposed to the correct answer, you are being alerted to the strong possibility that more than one answer is correct. Your strategy, as with all questions, is to read the lead-in carefully, think of the correct answer, and then read the 4 choices given. Because only one of the choices is the best answer, you must systematically eliminate the other 3. For example, checks, townships, and sections are units of measurement, measurements of area, measured by surveyor's tapes, or metric measurements. If you look at A above, it seems to be correct. The same holds true for B. Answer C is a little bit too limiting, and answer D seems ridiculous. So if you re-examine A and B and determine that whereas A is correct, it is not as specific a description of the lead-in as B, thus answer B is the best choice. The incorrect answer. When you come across a question that requires you to find the incorrect answer among the choices, apply the lead-in to each listed answer one at a time and determine if the choice is true or false. For example, select the incorrect answer. A broker retains a buyer's deposit and an escrow account until the transaction is concluded, deposit is forfeited by the buyer, FREC issues an escrow disbursement order, buyer changes his or her mind after the seller's acceptance of the offer. Answer the question by choosing true or false for each choice. If necessary, keep track of this on the scrap paper or mini whiteboard provided at the test center. For example, for answer A, you should have written a T because this is the typical time at which a deposit is released. For answer B, you know that when a buyer forfeits a deposit for whatever the reason, this too constitutes a correct time to release a deposit, so you should have put down a T. For answer C, an escape procedure has been used due to conflicting demands on escrowed funds, and the broker is therefore required to release the deposit. You should have marked T for answer C. Finally, for answer D, the buyer is bound by acceptance of his or her offer, and because the seller accepted it, answer D is the choice you were looking for. The incorrect answer, the broker should not release a buyer's deposit under the conditions specified. Guessing. It is important to understand that there is no penalty for guessing on the state license exam. This means that wrong answers are not subtracted from right answers to arrive at your exam score. However, not answering a question is counted as a wrong answer. Therefore, make certain that all 100 questions have been answered. Now, let's see what intelligent guessing, not wild haphazard guessing, can do to raise your score. With careful reading, rereading, common sense, and logic, you will find that you are able to eliminate 1, perhaps 2 of the wrong answers in almost every case. Educated guessing on the remaining possible answers increases your chance of correctly handling a difficult question and scoring an overall 75 or higher. You have 25 chances to be wrong and still pass the state license examination and receive your license. An illustration of guessing at the correct answer, but doing so using common sense and solid reasoning, might help you understand the strategy. For example, inflation by itself: A, makes it possible for more people to buy homes. B, is good for the overall economy. C, has no effect on buying power. Or D, decreases buying power. Stop and answer this question in thinking about the concept of inflation and analyzing your four choices. Answer A makes no sense. B is silly. C can't be right. And D makes sense and is correct. Another guessing strategy arises with an answer that contains an unfamiliar word or words. This may be a distractor. In other words, do not assume that a word or term that is foreign to you is probably the correct answer. More often, the unfamiliar word is a deliberate distractor, an incorrect answer. Now we're going to discuss how to improve your odds. When you haven't a clue as to the correct answer, don't mentally flip a coin or throw a dart. Instead, remember that the correct answer to every question is right in front of you on the exam. You don't have to cope with fill-in-the-blank or essay-type questions. Sure, the answer is carefully hidden among the group of wrong answers, distractors, but you do have a 1 in 4 chance or a 25% chance of choosing the correct answer. If you can eliminate just one choice for whatever the reason, you increase your odds of getting credit for a correct answer to 1 in 3, or 33.3%. If you can eliminate 2 choices, you raise your odds to 50%. Theoretically, if you know the answers to only 68 questions, failing, but make educated guesses at the remaining 32, you could end up with a score ranging from 75 to 82, which would be passing, making the odds work in your favor by using your head. Ignoring the answers. Most test takers read a question stem and immediately look at all 4 answers. For some, this approach causes no problems. For others, it causes unnecessary tension and confusion. Common errors are often used as incorrect choices, distractors, so to prevent individual question anxiety, try not to read the 4 choices while reading the stem. After you have read the stem 1 or more times, think about, or calculate, the correct answer. Then read the 4 choices and see if your thought-out answer is there. The result of using this approach could be to reduce your nervousness, heighten your confidence, and raise your score. Handling negatives. The shock of encountering questions that are worded in unexpected and awkward ways can scare and frustrate anyone. On the state license exam, negatives in the stem or in a choice, for example, not, un, must, or except, are typically in uppercase letters for emphasis. A negative in a stem is asking you to respond in the opposite manner from an affirmative statement, whereas usually you eliminate incorrect answers to a question. In the case of a negative in a stem, you discard the correct answers. Therefore, be alert for a negative, particularly when found in the stem of a multiple choice question. For example, escape procedures available to a licensee for resolving conflicting demands on escrowed funds do not include mediation, arbitration, subpoena, or a lawsuit. Because of the word not in the stem, you need to rule out the correct answers, A, B, and D, and the C is the answer to this negatively worded question. The form of a negative question may be shaped by the word except, which is usually in uppercase letters. Use the same strategy by ruling out the correct answers, or put another way, choose the one answer that is different from the other 3. For example, these features affect the size of the monthly payments for adjustable rent mortgages, except A. Index rate used by the lender, B. Margin used by the lender, C. Principal borrowed by the mortgagor, or D. Assumability of the loan. From your knowledge of the components of adjustable rate mortgage, you know that the index, or margin, and principal all affect the monthly payment amount, so you reject the correct answers and are left with D as your answer choice. Cues in stems and choices. A clue may come from the use of general qualifiers or absolute words in the choices. For example, when reconciling value, an appraiser A. usually weighs the quantity and quality of the relevant data or information. B. must select the highest price in terms of cash equivalency. C. gives the most weight to the median indicator of value. Or D. always chooses the means of the three indicators of value. Because qualifiers such as usually, as well as generally, tends to, most, and some, lessen the strength of a statement or answer, they are often clues to a correct response. Because absolutes, such as always, as well as all, entirely, must, and never, tighten a statement or answer, they are often hints to an incorrect response, or a distractor. In the example, usually is a clue to the right answer, whereas clues to the wrong answers are must, B, and always, D. You know answer C is incorrect as a result of your knowledge of the subject area being tested. Other strategies could be lumped under this heading, clues in stems and choices, but it is unnecessary to cover them in light of the higher quality of questions now appearing on the real estate license examinations. Desperation Strategies. Originators of exam questions generally find it easier to create the wrong answer than the right, or the best answer. Consequently, test writers sometimes have a tendency to qualify the correct answer with extra words to ensure its preciseness. Therefore, the correct answer choice is sometimes the longest answer among the four choices because it is more detailed. However, recognize this as a desperation strategy, when it should only be used if you draw a blank. By the same reasoning, you may be able to increase your odds by dismissing the shortest answer. Again, this is very nearly blind guessing, as is the tactic of throwing out answers A and D on the grounds that test writers tend to hide the correct answers in the pack. A similar but equally blind approach is to eliminate the highest and lowest answers to a math problem. These three strategies are in the same league as the longest answer approach, rash moves indeed. Exam results. Exams are graded at the test site, and candidates are given a grade notice at that time. The grade notice includes pass or fail information. Failure notices include a breakdown of the points scored in each major subject area. An initial inactive license is mailed directly to licensees following notification of a passing score. Sales associate applicants may legally begin to operate as licensees once they notify the DBPR of their employer's name and address by filing the appropriate DBPR form. Exam taking reminders. Start your review several weeks or at least several days before the exam. Get plenty of rest the night before the exam. Be careful of cramming to the point that you are drained and unable to think clearly on exam day. Study smart, not necessarily more. Wear comfortable clothing and shoes to the test center. Remember to bring whatever materials are required. Don't arrive hungry or too full. Eat appropriately beforehand. Be at the test center a little ahead of the start time. Make a pit stop before you go to the exam room. Be mentally and physically prepared. Listen to, understand, and follow all verbal and written instructions. Budget your exam time by preparing a pre-planned approach. Read every word of every question, STEM as well as choices. Think before you answer. Answer the question asked, not the one you expected or hoped would be on the exam. Check and recheck. Answer all 100 questions even though you don't know the answer to every question on the exam. No one knows it all. Review your work as time permits. Remember that the objective is a passing score, not necessarily a perfect score. The preceding strategies constitute neither solutions nor substitutions for learning and knowledge of the required subject matter. They are offered as guides to improve your exam-taking ability and to assist you in passing the state license examination. Put these strategies to work for you by systematically progressing through the review outlines that follow, answering the math questions, and taking the 2 practice 100 question exams. Good luck on your state exam, and thank you for watching these videos from the Rowlett Real Estate School.